Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 431st episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaeffer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today we have Lisa Magnuson. She's the author of the Top Sales Leader Playbook, How to Win 5X Deals Repeatedly. The title of the blog post from my interview is Close More Big Deals Fast with Sales War Room expert Lisa Magnuson. And then the subtitle is Pick Your Account QB to Lead the Sale. That's an important concept that we cover in this episode, so stay tuned for that. And, I'm a little feisty tonight as I record this intro. Be on the lookout. I'm pondering something. I just uploaded a video on my profile on Facebook. I'll see what the feedback is. That's one thing maybe I'll talk about later, how I can test things through social media. Back in the day, we would pay for ads to split test titles and see which one got the most clicks. Still do that, and you can drive them to a landing page to maybe sign up for an early bird announcement or something, but you can test ideas and concepts and offers through social media, through your list, through your connections, see which ones get good engagement and then run with that. But I've had a domain name, areyoustupidorswhat.com, for a long time. I don't even know, over a decade. And I've dabbled with some things, made some coffee mugs and t-shirts, but nothing's really stuck out with me. It's easy to pick on people. We're in a time right now, and I'll probably talk about this book before too long, but we're in a very predictable time right now, if you understand human nature and society and generations and just how society goes through mood swings, pendulums, okay? Very predictable. An individual is not very predictable, but groups of people are very predictable. That's why and how insurance companies work, actuarial tables. So I tell you that because right now it's very easy. The way that our society is, very easy to make money by just pitting us versus them. It's too easy and it's not right. But it's how politics are won and lost right now. But I tell you that because I've always I knew when it was right, it would hit me. I would know what to do. And there's a thing, stolen valor. There's these guys that go around and capture on video, right? At least confront people that are wearing, that they're impersonating military personnel, and usually with a lot of awards, right? And it's called stolen valor. And I think it's a crime in some areas, maybe everywhere, I don't know, but in some places it is. But they confront these people, and I literally tonight, this hit me. I was on LinkedIn and I made a video of this guy's offer. He sends me a friend request. He's from Indonesia. I accepted it. He pitches me right away. Basically guarantees me to be number one in a Yahoo top 20 list. And, his verbiage was, I've selected you. I was like, oh, interesting. Let's see how this plays out. And pay a certain amount, you're number one. Pay a little bit less, you're in the top 5. A little bit less, you're in the top 10. And I'm like, oh, hell no. And I've been on the inside of this beast of marketing and internet marketing for a long time. And I've seen a lot of stuff. I know who the good guys and gals are and who the not so good guys and gals are. And you'd be surprised, as usual, when like they say that, you never want to meet your heroes. You never want to meet your idols. They just don't live up to the expectation. But, I'm thinking of doing something with Are You Stupid or What? And just showing the stupid tricks and there's just the desperation, the shortcuts, the hacks to make a buck. And it's just, I don't know. Like I said, maybe I'll delete it tomorrow or the next day. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll promote it. Maybe I'll pay that guy. Maybe I'll see if I can pay him to promote that video so I can be the influencer that he guarantees me to be. But anyway, today we're talking about Lisa, all right? And her forward is by Jill Conrath. Jill was a guest on the Sales Podcast as well, man, a long time ago. It's it's nice when you do things for a little while. You build up a name. You don't have to pay dudes from overseas to guarantee you number one. But you get to meet cool people, you get to speak with them, and and I run into conference or go to conferences and stuff, and I'll meet these folks, and it's cool. But Jill Conrath, well known for snap selling. I think another one of hers was how to land big accounts, something like that. But man, she was a guest way back in episode 16, and heck, that was the summer, early fall of 2013. It was the short time that I had an office. I remember I recorded that. I think I had a MacBook Air and recorded it. But she wrote the foreword of this book. So, Lisa's a player. If you are a sales leader, if you're an aspiring sales leader, then this interview is going to be valuable to you. So get ready to take some notes. Now let's bring on our guest. Lisa Magnuson, the top sales leader playbook author, all the way from Portland, although we know you're from a little smaller town than that. Welcome to the Sales Podcast. How the heck are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you, Wes.
So is this true? How to win 5X deals repeatedly? Come on. Are you just blowing smoke? Are you one of these carpetbaggers? Are you banging the drum? Is this possible?
It is possible. And I talked to 41 sales VPs that told me it was possible and told me what book they wanted me to write. And so that's what I did.
So tell me about that. So 41 sales VPs.
Yes.
I take it these are clients? Were they clients and friends?
Combination of clients, referrals to sales VPs, just a really good combination of VPs representing various industries and size of sales organizations, and a good mix between male and female all over the world, really. And I did live interviews. It took really all year to do it as part of the research for the book. And I asked them about their goals, their challenges. And there was some surprising things that I learned, which is interesting because I have been a sales VP twice, and I also work with sales VPs all day long. But just talking to them in that structured way, there was a couple things that came out.
Very nice. So how important is sales leadership versus just hiring the right people and getting out of their way?
Hiring the right people is a great place to start and getting out of their way. But, when it comes to really setting up kind of an engine that's going to drive big deals, you need a little bit more than that. And, you need sales leadership. You need a way to do that, methodology. Salespeople hate the word methodology, but kind of a way to do it. You need to execute on that. You need to actually do the things you said that were important. And then you kind of need to start to build a culture around big deals. And when you talk with people in various sales organizations, all different industries, company sizes, you can tell if they have a big deal machine, if that's their culture or not. Maybe, some companies have one or two big banner accounts, and those account teams are really strong, but, they're kind of a one-off. And then there's companies that have a culture of winning big deals. And those companies have, they talk about their new logos. They talk about they've got war rooms scheduled. They're putting their time and their effort into building account teams and staying with big deals for at whatever time it takes, which, can be a very long time. So yeah, hiring right people, that's a great place to start.
Did you say they focus on their logos?
Focus on new logos. So, in a big deal culture.
I got you.
Yeah, the team's talking about, hey, we just got this, new account.
Like a bragging, like a leader or client.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I was like, they're focused on their logo. What am I missing?
Not their logo, their new customer.
I got
logos.
you. I'm not a smart man, but I eventually will catch on to this here sales stuff. So yeah, and I've seen it all the time. If a sales manager says you can discount 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 or 30% without my approval, inevitably they will go to that level almost every time. I mean, is
Yes.
that, and like, you'll have one or two that kind of rise above the fray, but they just follow this path of least resistance. Um, and why is that so prevalent where you just see people not go for these big deals or just roll over so quickly?
I think that when people default to price, and especially the lowest price, they just, that's kind of their comfort zone. They think that's where the deals are going to come from. But when you're talking really big deals, deals that take months, and sometimes years to go after, they're complex, they're messy. You've got a lot of people, involved from your company. You've got a lot of people involved on the customers or on the prospect side. Price is always an issue, but you can work through it as a team, and you can really kind of systematically do the things to put yourself in a position to add tons of value and really make price less of a decision factor. It's going to be a decision factor, but with these big deals, if you really get together as an account team and you put together a great strategy and you engage, the executive sponsor, so you're really talking about things that are within their priorities and their focus, and you're positioning whatever your product or services are within that priority set of the companies and the executives, then price tends to fall away a little bit. All of a sudden, it's value, and you make yourself kind of invaluable. And account teams can do that. It's hard for a single salesperson to do that, but if you really form that account team and you commit to going after a big account together, they will do that. I always say account teams get it right, because it's not dependent on one person to figure out the proposal or the presentation or how to get to the executive sponsor. It's the team has to figure it out, and they usually get it right.
What do you consider a team? Like, what's the typical makeup?
You know,
Because I got to imagine, just to shape this for our listeners. I mean, we're talking more. Is this an enterprise level sale, or is this, are we selling big deals here versus a smaller one-off sale?
yeah, at the beginning of our talk here, you said 5X, and that's in the title of my book. So a 5X deal is, about 5 times your average deal size. So if your average deal size is $100,000, then a 5X deal is a $500,000 deal. And when you have a deal that is significantly bigger, like a 5X deal, you're going to pull together a team. So the team might be the account executive and the VP and their manager and the VP of sales, but it also could include somebody from marketing or somebody from inside sales or somebody from professional services or somebody from the customer success team. There's all these resources that companies have, both internal and external, could also be an external partner. And those people who have a vested interest in winning that business come together and they form the account team. And when the opportunity is vetted, um, then vetted meaning it's like, we think we can get this. Might take a while, but we think we can get this. We're going to commit to stay together as an account team till that happens. And so when I say account team, that's what I mean. It looks different for every opportunity, even inside of the same company.
Who should lead the team?
That's a great question. And that's one of the things in my book, when I interviewed those 41 sales VPs, one of the sales VPs, who happened to be a prior client of mine, she goes, you know what, Lisa, you need to have yellow flags and red flags as part of your playbook. You need to have the things that as a sales VP we should be looking for when things aren't working. And one of the yellow flags when it comes to team leadership, account team leadership, is exactly your question. Who is leading the team? Because that can get confusing and messy too. So sometimes the sales VP comes in, the deal's huge, they come in and him or her establish themselves as the leader. But then they get busy, so they have to step out, and all of a sudden now the account team is leaderless. Or the account executive can be the leader, or the account manager. But one of the steps that has to be established with an account team is to actually discuss and decide who the account leader is going to be. And that person, I call them the account quarterback in my playbook, that person's got to be the person who's committed to really be that team quarterback all the way through and everything that entails. That was a great question and definitely can be a yellow or red flag for dysfunctional teams.
So what's the biggest deal you've been associated with, either sold yourself or maybe coached one of your clients through?
Yeah, I'm always involved. I've had my consulting practice for 15 years, and I was involved with big deals before that, as in different capacities. And I'm always involved with deals. That's what I do. I call it war room services. I mean, I do training and other things, but war room services is really joining that account team and going after those big deals. And my biggest deal was just about a year ago, and it was a $40 million deal. And I had done 30 and 20, but 40 was my biggest. I was involved with that with my client's account team from start to finish. And where that deal started is my client identified an opportunity, but it wasn't it didn't look promising. I mean, they actually had a negative perception of my client's company. They had another provider, another services provider that they were happy with, that they liked. There were some geographical issues, some geography issues. And so, but we thought we had a chance. And so we put our stake in the ground and we started talking about, the calls and what needed to happen and what relationships needed to be built and what our strategy was going to be. And we put an account team together. And 9 months later, they won that deal, $40 million. And not only that, within 90 days, that brand new client of theirs recommended them to another client that was also a huge deal. So game changer.
And they landed that one?
I don't know if they landed that one or not. I worked with them for like 12 months and they were still in the process of working with that second one.
But that's still a great sign. Even if you don't win that deal, right? It's a great indicator that you're doing things right.
Well, the $40 million deal was a game changer for them that year. I mean, it was crazy.
Should, and I'll just make some assumptions here, right? But let's say that was their biggest deal ever. I mean, should people, or I should say, when should companies go after bigger deals? Because maybe they were comfortable at the 5 or 10 million point, right? And now they go after a deal that's 8 times bigger than normal.
Yeah.
When do you know you're ready?
Yeah, it is true. Sometimes you're not ready. And so part of the whole, there's not really a start and an end point when it comes to these big deals, because sometimes you have to start in the middle in terms of the strategy and just because of where you come into it. But, if there is a start point, like with the $40 million deal, we scored that deal. So I have a scoring tool that's in the book. It's part of the the way, the methodology, but the scoring tool is not just how much revenue is this worth. That is one of the components of the scoring, but there's like 10 components. And one of them is, are we committed to stay with this opportunity from beginning to end? Is the customer committed to solve their problem? What's the strategic value of this deal to our organization? Sometimes the strategic value is more important than the revenue. Strategic value might be like a banner name that's going to attract other clients, or a geography a company is looking to get into, and this deal would open the doors for them. So we've got all these criteria that we score, and at the end of the scoring, it's like, okay, let's make a decision based on this score. Are we going for this or not? Because it's not going to be easy, and there's going to be some ups and downs, and there's going to be some real moments.
Right.
For
sure.
For sure. You lose your contact because they leave the company. The competition comes in and they were someplace you didn't know they were, or they come in with something that just kind of blows your strategy out of the water. There's so many things that can and do go wrong. But you know what? You can work through those as a team and you can get to that $40 million or whatever that 5X is for your company.
Right. How do you treat quota for a salesperson, right? So let's say, my quota is 20 million. Now I land this $40 million deal. Most companies would say, okay, great. Your new quota next year, is 40 million plus we need a 30% growth rate. So now it's 52 million. You're like, dude, I've never done over 20 million. And this was,
Yeah.
not a once in a lifetime, but this is once every 5-year kind of deal. I mean,
Yeah.
they run off their best people. I mean, how can we prevent that?
So that's the leadership part of putting together this big deal engine. And so in my playbook, I've got 16 plays, and they fall under leadership and methodology and execution and culture. And each play has, what's the play? How do you deploy it? What are the yellow flags, the red flags? What do you do? But also each play has a sideline coach. So I pulled in 16 experts from around the world. I literally searched the world for the best expert for each play. And they weigh in, and it's short because this is a playbook. There's lots of bullet points, short, tons of examples. But the sideline coach weighs in, usually 3-4 paragraphs, but they weigh in on that play. And so getting back to your point is one of my sideline coaches is Brian Burns. He's got a famous sales show. And he makes that exact point for his play. And his point is, when it comes to these big deals, you got to change the rules. You have to be willing to change the rules. And part of changing the rules has to do with quota, like you just mentioned. You can't slap a 40 million plus quota on a person just because they got that big deal. You also can't, and he makes this point too, time frames need to shift. So companies tend to, let's say they're a calendar year company, maybe accounts change after, from year to year. I know, when I worked for Xerox for all those years at the beginning of my career, it happened all the time. Your territory changed, your comp plan changed, everything changed. But when it comes to these big deals, sometimes you've got to commit to salespeople. It's like, we're not going to change that account. We're not going to change your territory because that deal is right in the middle, but it goes over the company's, calendar year. And so real companies that really embrace this whole thing of a big deal culture, they know that, and they're willing to change. They don't slap those quotas on to the top performers for those once in a lifetime big deals, and they don't just change the rules midstream. They have allowances to allow these deals to develop and close.
How is that part of changing the rules as well? Because let's say, I do have this $20 million quota, and I'm a good performer. I pretty much hit quota each year. I've been with the company a few years. Let's say I'm even a senior salesperson. So it's like, hey, Wes, we're picking you to go after this $40 million deal, right? Do they cut my quota, right, to free me up to go after that big deal? Am I expected to continue doing my $20 million quota while I pursue this bigger deal? Like, what's that happy medium?
I think that there's not one answer to that, but the real answer to that is an environment that really understands the nature of these big deals and can adjust and be flexible. So they can come outside of the normal comp guidelines or the normal quota guidelines, and they can say, if we're going to go after these 5X deals or whatever that number is for any company. 5X works for a lot of situations, but that's not a hard and fast number. But when we have whatever those deals are for our company that are outside of the norm, we have different rules. And that companies that are willing to do that, that's the right answer. So, that looks different for every company and it looks different for every situation. But companies that are really committed understand you do have to make some allowances for these big deals.
Yeah. Should there be kind of a almost like exercising, right? Make sure you get some cardio, make sure you get some weightlifting, but sprinkle in some kickboxing, right, as well, to be well rounded. So, I mean, should there be like, okay, Wes, here's your $20 million quota, but hey, we expect you to spend 10% of your time prospecting for big deals, or should it be that formulaic?
Yeah. I think that I haven't seen the perfect formula for that, but I think that where companies are really successful is they allow the space and they provide the growth and development and the leadership and the training in some cases, so that people know how to spot those big deals. They know how to spot them, and they feel comfortable that if they spot a big deal, that there's a mechanism with which to come together, form an account team, come together. There's, to work on that big deal over time to allow it to develop and close. Like I'll give you an example. One of my early deals that I got involved with when I started my consulting practice, there was an account executive, Christy was her name, and she spotted she went on this appointment. She spotted what she thought was a big opportunity. She rushes back to the office and talks to the VP of sales. It's like, I think this is a really big deal. And the VP of sales was super skeptical because there was a lot of things that could go wrong. And so actually, it's at that point that he engaged me. He's like, can you come in and just help us make the decision to either go or not go? It's like, sure. So we meet. It was a Friday. We meet, like 4-hour meeting. There's been 8-10 people in the room who had a vested interest in making this decision. And it's like this is before good CRMs or any account strategy apps or anything. So we're just like putting the SWOT on a flip chart and kind of going, okay, here's what we know, here's what we don't know, here's what we think. And it was sticky. It was going to be a long-term deal. That as the customer described their buying process, they were going to go through an RFI and an RFP. It's like, holy moly. So that's a year plus. Also, the incumbent was strong. We knew, and they were good. We knew they had deep relationships. We didn't know where, we didn't know how. We just knew they were good reputation. And then to deliver the services, they were going to have to partner with another company. And that wasn't common for their company. So it's like they're going to have to find a partner, develop a partnership to deliver the services. So it's like there was a lot of reasons to not go after that deal. And that Friday meeting went into Saturday. The core team, it's like, couldn't come to a decision on Friday. We got to meet Saturday morning. So I met with them Saturday morning. Well,
there better be donuts and coffee. You know what? There better be bacon, sausage, gravy. Okay, eggs. No.
Yeah, all of it.
I'll show up, but you better feed me.
Well, you know what? There was none of that. And also the short answer is that team made the decision to go for that deal, even with all those insurmountable obstacles. And end of the story, $20 million contract. It took 18 months. I ended up staying with them all the way through. I even stayed with them a little bit into implementation of the contract. And, I was like the strategy director. It's like we met diligently. It was like every single thing we thought was going to be hard was harder. And then there was other stuff. And it took 18 months, but it was a $20 million contract. And that company still has that contract today. And, it's even better than it was back then. So, yeah, I mean,
what percentage? So 20 million is big, but I mean, if they're a $1 billion company, that could be a small account. So just give us some perspective.
This was a smaller marketplace, probably like $150 million marketplace inside of a big company. Okay. But that was
20 million is big.
It is. It was the biggest deal at the time for that company. And I will also tell you, not only was that huge revenue, huge commissions, But that VP of sales has gone on to huge promotions. That account executive's still there, survived tons of reorganizations, other people getting laid off, losing accounts, but not Christy, because she got that $20 million deal and stayed with that account and grew that account and added additional accounts over time. These deals are game changers, not just for the company, but for the people that were involved with them.
Sure. What is a sales manager's job with a top performer? Should they, is it like, hey, this is my system, everybody's going to follow it? Do they give these top performers leeway, and then does that produce renegades? How do you treat these top high flyers?
I love those renegades. Every sales organization has them. And yeah, you don't really want them, but then they're also a lot of times the top performers. So you definitely don't want to do anything to create them. I think the sales manager's job is to be there and to figure out what's needed for the top performers. Some need a little extra flexibility and freedom. Some need some encouragement, like they're motivated by encouragement. They want to be a good dog. Some need a little structure. They are renegades, so you're not going to you can't clamp down on them, but they need a little bit of structure so they don't destroy the organization, destroy the rest of the team. I remember one time when I was a VP of sales, we had a renegade salesperson, and he actually reported to me directly, even though I had managers for most of the sales organization, but he was in a kind of a role. And I went out and hired a manager just to put somebody between him and I. It wasn't even like in the budget. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't manage this renegade person directly. He's killing me. So sometimes you have to rein those people in a little bit.
Look, let's admit it. It was me. I drove you crazy. Okay, look, I've grown up a little bit. That's why you came on the show. All right.
I didn't want to mention any names, Wes. I mean, that seemed like it was unprofessional, but yeah, it was you.
Look, I've been in counseling, the medication, we're getting it dialed in. I'm getting better. Okay. But I can still make it rain.
I've always got along great with those people. I'm the opposite. I'm very structured, but for some reason, somehow I get along, but I didn't want to manage him directly.
Oh, I understand. I was hard to manage. I sold a lot, but I was hard to manage.
Sold a lot. And there was did you leave a field of debris behind you?
Not too bad. I didn't take no for an answer from within my own company.
Yeah.
Right. I would pursue deals, but when I knew it was a valid deal, I would kick ass and take names in the company. I'm like, we're going to do this deal. Y'all are going to support me. I need this proposal. I don't need any games. I need systems engineers. I need VPs on site. This is what we're going to do. Well, we need to allocate whatever. It's going to be done. I don't care. I will go to the factory. I will pick it up and I will deliver it myself. Well, you can't do that. I'm like, that's a challenge. But I was good at making friends for the most part. Right. And I don't know, maybe it's from the military, a little bit of everything. Right. I just had that can-do attitude, make friends with folks. I was in high tech for a long time. I always had extra demo equipment,
in your car,
in my car, in my closet. It could get overnighted. I knew where the extras were kept, so I could get more demos done. I could do more loaners, to curry the favor, and I got deals done. But
so your best managers probably gave you a lot of leeway, made sure you didn't, cross the line and go to jail.
They stayed off my back. I remember in particular, and it was interesting how things worked out. Like I make a lot of money off of selling software, CRMs and email tools and things like that. And I embraced technology early on. And I was at a startup and they switched over. Right when I joined, they were using Siebel and they were switching over to Salesforce. And I took notes, even my podcast, right? I'll put you on mute, put myself on mute so I can take note. I'm typing while we're talking. So my notes are done. This thing's ready to go. And I have always done that. I put myself on mute. I'm banging out notes. The CRM is updated. So as soon as we hang up, I just hit send.
Yeah,
Right.
that's awesome.
Or tag whoever, operations, engineering, support. I'm done. I remember I got married on the worst day ever for a salesman. Maybe the second worst day.
Is that the end of the year, end of the month, end of the quarter?
End of the quarter, right? September 30th, right? So end of the year would probably be worst. End of a quarter is second worst. And I was nailing things. We were good. And my wife and I played in a charity golf tournament out here. And it was a weekday. I think it was a Friday, but it was the end of the quarter. My boss is hopping my butt, needing something. And I'm like, it's in Salesforce. Because he wanted me to print up an Excel spreadsheet and send it separately. I'm like, it's in sales. Are you saying it's 100% up to date in a CRM? And I'm like,
of course, he's never been in the CRM practically.
Yeah, he was
That's
a
why
little
he didn't
bit.
know.
Yeah, but I was the only. I'm like, you told us in the sales meeting to use the CRM. I use the CRM. I am not going to stop what I'm doing and export the CRM to a spreadsheet to send it to you. You can export the data into your own damn spreadsheet. You know what? Go cheer everybody else's ass for not using Salesforce. Bye. Like, get off my back. That's why I'm on my own. He was the last one to fire me. I was over quota and I got fired on my birthday on vacation. But anyway,
you're the poster child of a renegade.
Oh, I was. And that company was struggled, and they still kind of exist, but like a shadow of themselves. And they were laying people off, and it was easy for him to pick me because I was a bird in his saddle, but.
I remember making an executive call with a sales rep, not as much of a renegade as you, but kind of a little bit, kind of minor renegade. And we're making this call, C-suite call on a customer. You have to go up like two different sets of elevators. There's a regular elevator to the top and then a separate elevator just to the C-suite kind of call. And, we're making this meeting and he's writing and I'm like, kind of a little bit more than what would be normal. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird, but okay. So we come out of the meeting and he's got this envelope and he's sealing this envelope literally right outside the executive's door. And I go, what's that? He goes, the thank you note. He wrote the thank you note while we were having the meeting with the executive.
That's efficient.
It was very efficient. I'm like, okay.
I just grab their pen and I lean over on their desk and I use their own letterhead. I go, thank you. I just say, let's just save a stamp. Okay. Let's just get to the chase. And you know what? This one says, thanks for your repeat order. So go ahead and press real hard. The third copy is yours. Let's get this thing flowing. All right.
Classic.
Oh man. That's so funny. I remember a buddy of mine. I don't know if I've told this story. Maybe I have, 430 episodes. All right. I can repeat myself every now and then.
Right. Nobody's going to blame you for
buddy
that.
Of mine, we're still friends. He's out in Louisiana and he was a little bit older than me, maybe 5 years older. So he was kind of like an early mentor. And we were at a high-tech company. We were at a different high-tech company. We worked at like 3 together. And so he had more experience, right? And they're like, the company expanded into this brought in a new division. And I mean, I could barely spell this crazy stuff, right? But I'm like, I got a live one. And so Jordan, I'm like, I need Jordan, all right? So we fly out and there's 2 teams and like different divisions of the company. And I'm just trying to make myself useful and run over to their little snack bar in the kitchen and get snacks, Cokes, whatever. And everybody's doing their hellos. And so just as we sit down and Jordan's kind of explaining things and this one side of the team are like, oh, well, that would be those guys in that division. And I didn't think nothing of it. It's just how I roll. But Jordan still laughs about this today. So imagine like a poker table and all the money's in the middle, right? And the guy wins and they go and just like rake it all in with their arms.
Yeah.
Right. When those guys said that, I just took my, well, these aren't for you then. I just took my arm and swept all the treats away from them. And I'm just picking on them, right? And George to my left, he's like, He says, those guys' face, like all the blood just rushed out of their body and their shoulders sank. And they're like, oh, we're like nobody. He's like, you took control of that meeting and you didn't even like, without even thinking about it. Like, I was just kind of being funny, but okay, it worked.
It worked.
Get that away from you.
Yeah.
Don't touch the treats.
Right. If you're not the right person, we're done.
Yeah, it's like, introduce me to the right person. Why are you in this meeting? Just sit over there. Look, drink your Coke. Don't say anything. All right. And we'll let you stay. I mean, you have to take charge sometimes, right? Am I right or am I right?
You have to take charge sometimes. I agree with that. Even in these long, messy, big account situations, you have to take charge.
Yeah, very cool. So 5X deals repeatedly. How come people don't focus on that next sale? I mean, it's always like, get the sale, get the money and run. You know, how can you foster that? And, you know, I was kind of that way for a long time. I love the thrill of the chase. I did not like supporting. You know, it's like, you know, somebody else. I'm gonna go get another deal.
And some companies have figured that out. And in some cases, you know, it's like you've got the people that get the deals and then the people that manage those big accounts. And that works really well, the account executive versus the account manager. And, you know, one of the tools in my playbook is sort of that opportunity finder. And so many times, you know, there are more opportunities inside of those big deals. It could be other divisions. It could be more, you know, doing more with what you're already doing, more resources, more services, more products, whatever it is. And so that account team who stays together after that initial deal is won, no matter what it's worth, that 5X deal. You know, the account team then kind of goes into that finding expansion opportunities mode. And in some cases, it's the same team. You know, the account executive is still responsible, but it's still interesting to them because there's more. Or in some cases, there's a handoff to an account manager who, you know, is really sort of chartered to grow and develop the account. And I mentioned those sideline coach experts that I have, the 16 you know, people that kind of lend their expertise for each of the plays. One of the sideline coaches is Barbara Weaver Smith, and she's the author of The Whale Hunters. She's a very close colleague of mine, and she's one of the sideline coaches, and she talks about the pros and cons associated with once you get that deal, what is the best, you know, what is the best way? There's pros and cons associated with having the account executive stay with that account versus handing it off to an account manager versus doing something, you know, else. You know, something else could be having two people assigned, and there's pros and cons with each of those solutions, but the companies really need to figure out what is best for that account and what's going to make the customer the happiest and what's going to get us the most revenue. So there's really not one answer there, but you're right. Sometimes the hunters, like you were, the renegades, they're the hunters. I mean, it's like they're not necessarily the best people to take it, you know, to cultivate that account over time. You know, in that case with you probably would have been better off moving on to that next one. So you could go to those meetings and pull back your goodies if you weren't talking to the decision makers. You know, and you know, and leave the account growth and maintenance, you know, to somebody else.
All right. So this should be a lay down question. All right.
We'll see.
So are managers that bring you in, are they weak and inefficient at their job, or are they smart to bring in outsiders, you know, to get a fresh perspective?
You know, I've actually had that question a lot, not necessarily on podcast interviews, but just in general with clients and colleagues and referral partners and that kind of thing. And in my experience over the last 15 years as you know, a consultant, the people that bring me in is usually not a manager. It's usually the VP of sales or a company owner who runs sales. So the managers don't quite usually have enough authority to bring me in, but the VP of sales does. And so those are the people that generally hire me, and they're smart. They can't do it all themselves, and they know that. You know, one of the things that I learned when I interviewed 41 sales VPs is they can be the single point of failure for big deals. And what do I mean by that? Well, they have all the skills and the experience. They generally have done 5X deals, and that's why they're the sales VP. Yet they are just bogged down with, as a matter of fact, they have twice as many challenges as they have priorities, as they have goals. That was another finding from my interviews, twice as many. Now, that was actually a little bit shocking to me, but that contributes to them being the single point of failure for these big deals. So they have to bring people in, and they know that. The smart ones know that. It's like they know how to run a war room, but they can't commit to running 2 war rooms a month for 12 months in a row. They're just too busy.
Right.
And so if they bring in the right resources, either within their organization or outside, to get that done, that's just smart, because they're going to, now they have that commitment to get those big deals. So
this VP of sales, I mean, do they have like multiple managers under them and you're helping multiple of them, or is okay?
Yeah, generally they do. Or sometimes they run teams, but generally they've got multiple managers underneath them. And so like they'll bring me in, depends what we're doing, but for when we're, when you're talking war room services and big accounts, they call me up and it's usually like, Lisa, we have got a couple big opportunities. We want to engage you for the next year to engage with the account teams and work on those deals together. And so that's what I do.
You keep mentioning war rooms. I mean, I think I know what that is, but is that something like a unique thing that you do, that you offer?
It is kind of a unique thing that I offer. Basically, war rooms are just account strategy sessions. So it's that account team working together, but working together in a productive way over time to really give themselves the best possible chance of winning those opportunities. And usually what I say to teams when I start working with them is, every time we meet, we are increasing our odds of success. Because when we meet, we're going to talk about the relationship plan, we're going to talk about the strategy, we're going to talk about win themes, we're going to talk about all these things, we're going to capture all the tactics, the things that we're going to do. And so we're going to be committed and accountable. And so every time we meet and have those kinds of discussions, talk about the competitors and how we're going to block them either proactively or reactively, we're increasing our chances of success. And that, that's how I engage with teams. So I don't take over the team as the team leader. I'm more the strategy coordinator or director or subject matter expert.
How long does it take the salespeople to open up? Because I know I was usually resistant when the outsider came in. I really made them prove themselves because they don't know the industry, they don't know our offer, exactly. Maybe they're getting up to speed, and I'm like, I don't have time to get this high dollar consultant, up to speed. They're slowing me down. How do you win them over?
Yeah, I'd say most people are open, maybe skeptical, but open. And certainly at the end of the first war room meeting, they're on board, because they're like, okay, this is going to be good. This is, all of a sudden we've got the right group of people. Remember your example of, it's like, I don't care what the title is within my company. If I need somebody, I'm going to get them. I'm going to tell the VPs I need them for this account. I'm going to tell the analysts that they've got to be involved. So it's like we've got the right group together, and we're just talking about how to win. That's, and so at the end of the first meeting, they're on board, because they haven't experienced that generally before.
Right.
Or maybe the company did it once or twice, and then other things started to take priority. And so if they have the feeling like we're going to do this, we're going to see it through, they're excited about it. It's nothing but good for them.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Your book is The Top Sales Leader Playbook, How to Win 5X Deals Repeatedly. Where can they get this? Where do we send our listeners?
Yeah, the best place to go is to my website, which is www.toplinesales.com. Toplinesales.com. They can click through to get the book. If they save their receipt from Amazon, they can get a special bonus, a big organizational assessment bonus, which is really cool. I use it with my clients all the time. They can get a free pre-call planning guide, 2-page fillable PDF that I use constantly with clients. They can get that for free. And I also have two viable books right now. The other is a book for salespeople about how to engage executives over the long haul, your executive sponsors. How do you get to them and how do you stay engaged with them? So that there's information on that book as well.
Oh, I see that here. Is that the 3 Secrets?
The 3 Secrets is an ebook, and that's
Oh,
a
okay.
little bit dated. So the other book, which I published in 2016, is called The Top Seller Advantage: Powerful Strategies to Build Long-Term Executive Relationships. And that book is still absolutely viable. It's for salespeople. The Top Sales Leader Playbook is for sales leaders, but if you're an account quarterback, you should have it too.
Right.
So yeah.
Great. I will grab that link from you, but I'm linking to your site, linking to the book. We'll link to both books, and very cool. Well,
Awesome.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Wes.
All right. This was really good. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
41 sales VPs can't be wrong. All right. Especially with Lisa's experience. So hiring's a great start. Okay. But you drive the engine. You got to create the engine, execute, follow through, build the culture, build the war rooms, right? Focus, build up some competition, track things. When you build the team, have a quarterback. It really is that simple. Not always easy, but it's simple. All right. So if you need some help, reach out to Lisa. If Lisa's full, reach out to me. I do similar things for companies. All right. Let me help you grow your sales, build up the leadership to create the team, right? The culture. Be ruthless when you have standards, when you have criteria, when you have rules that you want followed. But those rules, there should be very few that are that strict. Otherwise, give people some leniency, guide them, hire the right people that can execute and implement, what they call the commander's intent. Okay? Hey, team, platoon, storm that building. Now, they're not going to say, go to the north, send 3 to the north, 4 from the northeast, put the machine gun over here, call in air support. No, go get it. I'm going to leave it up to you to determine how to do it. You've got to have people that can follow and execute and implement your intent. All right. Otherwise, you're micromanaging, and it's just brutal. So, check out Top Line Sales. Get her book, the Top Sales Leader Playbook. She also has the Top Seller Advantage. So she knows her stuff, and you know your stuff by listening to this podcast. If you need some help, check out thesaleswhisperer.com. I've got, I would mention some things, but I got some things in motion. So just go to the website and see what I'm working on. The 5 is still a group I'm running. 30-day sales growth is still out there, but I'm going to be rolling that up into my inner circle. But you can jump in now and you'll get grandfathered in. So again, go to the site, see if there's some on-demand content, see if there's some ongoing training that you can benefit from, or if you need some private stuff for your team, that's an option as well. Fill out the Contact Us form, and we'll be in touch. All right. Thanks for listening. As always, please subscribe, share this, give me some reviews, send me some questions. Come join us in the free Facebook group, theimplementors.com. I'll go sell something.